Alright folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in the wild lands of Scotland. And today we've come along the coast here to St Cyrus and St Cyrus Beach, because recently, this past week, two people have told me I should come and check out. There's like caves, a waterfall, and there's a little croft, well maybe not even a croft, a little house ruin, like a little button ben, and they're all at the far end of St Cyrus Beach. I was there years ago, but I thought it's so cool to come back and do a fresh adventure, see what remains at the far end of St Cyrus Beach. It'll be a cool adventure, folks. This is just like miles of like sand dunes and stuff, and then obviously North Sea's at the other side of those sand dunes there. But it's just like a mad area for wildlife here. Anyway, let's get into this adventure, folks. This is cool, folks. These massive cliff faces here, which are at the side of the sand dunes, but also the village of St Cyrus, which is at the top of that hill. I can't believe the height of some of this bogweeds here. They're literally like 8 foot tall, or even more. It's a crazy type of grass with the seed head on top of it. But yeah, the landscape here is just breathtaking. I remember years ago I was down exploring. There's like 3 kind of abandoned houses and that along the coast here, but they're actually redeveloped and stuff now. They've been bought over since the time I explored them. That's often the thing with these videos. It's an opportunity when somewhere's abandoned and you get to see how it was at that time in history. Often some of those old houses can get renovated and redone. The video's the last remaining like way of seeing how it looked. Yeah, the landscape's cool here. I remember one time last year, me and the channel DJ walked from here like all the way up the coast, probably like almost 10 miles or so, and we explored all like the World War II pillboxes and stuff like that. But the coast here is just breathtaking. Every time you go around the corner it looks totally different. Some parts there's like massive white beaches, white sands, and then other bits it's like rough, rugged sandstone. And St Cyrus Beach is one of the biggest, like most beautiful beaches around the Angus area, as we'll see once I get that far round. It's always worth a little explore. So if the tide's right in here at St Cyrus, I think I'll struggle to get to the far end of the beach, but I'm going to still try. I'm not even sure if the tide's in or out. I should have looked at the tide times, but I literally just knew it was exploring o'clock, folks. Time to go for an adventure. That was the sort of thing. Often you can't gauge if the tide will be out or in. You just have to go for it when you've got time for an adventure. I think I'll take this path. I think there's a more main path this direction. Check this out, folks. The further down the coast you come here, the cliffs just get nearer the sea and the sand dunes get narrower and narrower. Look at this, folks. Tons of random stuff here on the beach, and look at this massive white stone here. It's a solid white thing there on the beach, folks. I don't even know what it is. I can actually see there's like a tractor tyre and a bale over here, and a lot of bales, when we got that heavy rain about a month ago, bales were actually floating down the rivers, because if you go near like the Bridge of Dun in Angus here, there's just tons of bales like all down the side of the river to this day still. There's just tons of stuff here. Old ratchet straps mixed up with some seaweed. A crazy like random mixture of debris out here today. Check it out, folks. St Cyrus Beach. It is beautiful around here, but I've just noticed though, folks, the tide is so far in that I'm not going to be able to get around the corner to this abandoned cottage or the waterfall. Here it looks like the land in front is like freshly landslid down, or it looks like it's in the process. Often you get that at the coast with the earth and the grass on top. like there's rocks below, and then once there's heavy rain it just comes in a big, like a big sheet of the land just slides down the hill, and that's what it looks like it's going to happen there pretty soon. The ground's already started to like move. It's interesting to see stuff like that often. Again, the landscape can be so wild here at the coast. Yeah, I hadn't been here for so many years. I couldn't remember if there was a chance of getting round here even with the tide in. But as I can see it now, again, there's no chance. Another thing at St Cyrus here, it's famous for the tide coming in like super quick here. A lot of people often get stranded at like beaches and areas of the coast. But I'm okay so far, because if it comes in to those big stones, I can climb over the top. But it looks like this hill here, there'll be no easy way of climbing over the top. It's super dangerous. Or else I'd be straight over there to have a look at this waterfall. Yeah, check it out, this is cool. The water's just surging in at this far side of these rocks. It's been coming right into here. Wow. This is total magic, folks, seeing the tide here and the sand. Quite often when I go to the coast, it's the pure rocky wild coast, because I love exploring stuff like that. It's like unlimited, just like areas to climb and explore, and the amount of little nooks and crannies on the rocks, it's crazy what you see. Different types of animals and wildlife. Areas like this are totally different. This is almost like where the rocky coast joins on the beautiful white sands. They go for miles all the way down St Cyrus, and then there's a water estuary, and then it leads on Montrose Beach, miles of white sand. And then once you follow around the corner from Montrose to Ouzin, that's the area, like on my Christmas Day special video and stuff, that's the area I was at there. So it's like crazy different coastal landscapes just a few miles from each other. And a cool thing I can see there's caves at the top, but there's just no way of getting into them unfortunately today. Wow, the noise with these waves ripping up here behind me, it's so cool. Anyway, let's safely navigate down here. Check it out, folks, it's like we're walking about in the middle of a Scottish postcard once again. I'm going to try and get up to this little bit of land here. Looks like I'll be able to climb up. We'll just see what's over the corner. Yeah, this is the bit of land here in front of us. It's a way to slide down for sure. I can see by the way this area of ground here has just moved already. One day there'll just be a big rumble and that'll land down here on the beach. And that's how this wild coastline's formed over the years. There's a lot of structures and areas which are actually just away now because the sea has swallowed them up. The North Sea can be ferocious at times, but also that land is eroded from the amount of water running off the land as well. Whoa, look at it here, this is quite a wild little bit. So check this out, folks. We've navigated to the furthest point that we can make it. We're right at the entrance to this incredible little cave. And just look at these waves curling in. As I look back down towards the massive cliffs that I walked alongside on the way in here, there's actually clouds and stuff rolling over them now. That shows the height of those. And they're crazy, massive high cliff faces. The edge of Scotland, folks, that's what we're on right now. And on a day like today, the wind's cold and bitter. But it's cool to go on these adventures anyway. Yeah, I must go in there very soon to the waterfall. We've seen the cave entrance, it'd be cool to go into the cave as well. And then there's a little cottage, which must have been like a little fishing hut, a little fishing house of its time. Maybe a wee family used to be settled around there. That was their little, like, home, that whole bay. Big crab there, folks. It's probably been tea for some sort of seagull or whatever. Maybe no either. Normally if a bird had eaten that, it would have like ripped it apart. It's crazy how when the tide wears away at the shore, these big chunks are left sticking out. That must be the harder rock, and all the softer stuff just gets blasted away by the water. There's just crazy piles of seaweed right here. And a lot of that's actually like bits of wood and stuff as well. Little tiny bits of driftwood. Probably smashed into little pieces by the water hitting the rocks. Pure carnage, folks. Check out this beautiful scene, folks. The sun relaxing about the sound of the waves just rolling in there on the sand. I'm just keeping a safe distance so I keep dry feet here. It's amazing seeing the different stuff here that's been washed up though, right along the tide line. Different chunks of unusual looking seaweeds. Yeah, just random artefacts, folks. And there's like seabirds and crows and stuff just picking through it looking for a bit of food. Check it out, folks, the sound of those waves. It's just stunning. The landscape, you take it for granted often if you get it, if you have this on your doorstep. Every now and again one of these waves just comes like further in than normal. On this channel, folks, I love just looking at all things and just exploring everything. I don't have like one sort of like subject that I'm dedicated to. It's just everything in Scotland basically, wherever I end up going. On walks like this, kind of often look at stuff like this and think like, how is that lighter sand deposited on the top of the darker sand like that? Check it out. Everywhere that the waves are, it must be because that lighter sand there is, it's not only lighter in colour, but it must be lighter in weight as well. So it's just kind of skimming across the surface of the darker sand. Must be bigger molecules and heavier, tighter packed together. It's crazy the wee things like that you notice when you're walking on a beach, folks. Right, folks, I'm now leaving the beach area. It's quite drizzly in the air now. But to be honest, it's probably gotten a bit milder. Since I first left the car, it was freezing cold and frosty. It must have come above 0 degrees now. And it's like that fine drizzle in the air. But I'm just about to take this path because it goes past one of these old cottages, which has actually been renovated, which is cool to see. Because when I first explored this area, these cottages were just ruins, like. Yeah, it's got a nice little roof and stuff on it now, and look, it's all sealed up. And I've noticed the other house further down, it used to have an asbestos roof. It's all been taken off now, and it's just got like a profile sheeting roof on it now. So it's cool that people are actually doing things with the structures, and they're not just abandoned forever. Maybe my older videos at this sort of location will be like proof of how they looked at a certain time in their history. Check this out, folks. I don't mean to be alarmed, but that looks a lot like a snake skin right there. I'm a bit shook by that, folks. There's literally a snake skin. Does that mean that there's a giant python or something living out in this long grass? Because this is not actually adder territory here, so you would never find anything like that. Like, snakes in Scotland are no found down here at the coast at sea level. So that is crazy how there's a shed snake skin right there. Like, that's crazy, folks. The things I found on these adventures, like, who would have even known it? Check it out, folks. This is one of my favourite areas here of this crazy cliff face. It's like mad the way this is worn out. It almost looks like it's carved out from the sea. Maybe at one time when the dunes didn't have as much grass on top of them, an area like this may have been carved from the sand blowing against it. This is an unusual bit though, folks. Check it out, it's a big black pool. Stinking dirty water. Let's go down and explore without falling in it. Yeah, the way this is carved out, it's almost like a pedestal. Check this out, folks, it's almost like a cave. The way it's worn though. Yeah, it's maybe like an animal den or whatever. Look, there's remains of big spider webs, so there must be huge spiders living here. There's spider webs all over the whole face of this rock, which is crazy to see. And look at the colour of that. It must be the ore within the rock. Almost a red colour. That can sometimes mean that there's like iron ore within that type of rock right there. Yeah, there's some massive like ores throughout it. It almost looks like quartz or like a flint seam. I can see the Nature Scotland truck going up there. That's the people I think that care for this area. I think they like manage the land and the animals. So I think they've got the right then to go and can drive about all over this area with their truck. Yeah, look, the rock here is just crazy, folks. I wanted to go up on top of this little pedestal. Yeah, I could see this from a distance and I just thought it's crazy the way this is worn. Yeah, just check out the way it's so far worn into the hill. It's unreal. Here, I've just noticed an interesting detail, folks. There's two circles there. I don't know how well it comes out on the camera. Two circles there and there. It's almost like there was a ladder. Or maybe at one time they've quarried some stone off the face of here. I don't even know. It's a very unusual place that those two holes have been made. It's like this, it almost looks like there's been a ladder down there, but for what reason? I've got no idea. This would be a cool wee camping spot in the summer probably up here. But you would literally like, you would have that hill above your head, so it's maybe not the safest. Again, bits of rubble or stone could come falling off of there at any moment. This is often what I love about these adventures though. I go to look at one thing like the abandoned house at the far end and stuff, or the waterfall, and then boom, I end up in the middle of this crazy wild Scottish landscape, folks. So I will be venturing back into this mad landscape soon, but I'll make sure, now I know the lie of the land and now I know that you can't get there if the tide's in, I'll come back another day when the tide's out for sure and we'll explore those buildings. Well, that single remains of a building. I love seeing the waterfall. From the distance I could see it. Okay, I used to go there quite a lot years ago, but often nowadays places like this, they're so busy. This is almost like what you could call a mainstream place to go for a walk, like. Whereas I prefer places that's like out of the way and remote, wild, and some of the glens and stuff I go to, it's just totally isolated. Like you don't see anybody for miles and miles when you walk, and that's what I love. But it's crazy how this history is just hidden all over, throughout all the landscapes, from the coast to the glen. The old graveyard site here at St Cyrus beach has actually got the mark on the wall, on the brick, from a musket ball hitting it in one of the famous old local stories, but we'll take a look at that in a future episode when we come back to this site. Check it out, folks, we've got this flood to deal with. I just basically need to jump right over here. We made it. My foot was kind of in the water for jumping, but it's all I could do. This is the path. Right, folks, I'm almost back at my car. It's been cool to explore this mad landscape, even though we didn't see the original items that we were going to go and have a look of. At least we've seen how to get there now, and we know it's tidal, and it'll be a fun adventure to come back. But it's been cool to see what we've seen today and document another mad little corner of Scotland here at the wild coast of St Cyrus, pounded from the North Sea. It's been fun. Anyway folks, I'm ending it here. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one very soon.